Welcome to the Pennsylvania Small Business Development Center's Entrepreneurial Education Series. Because this series is designed to help you learn at your own pace, at the end of each slide you will hear a click indicating the end of that slide's narrative. Click the forward button or anywhere on your view screen to advance to the next slide. This educational offering is funded in part by the United States Small Business Administration and the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. The Pennsylvania Small Business Development Centers is a network of 18 centers located throughout Pennsylvania. We offer no-fee confidential one-on-one business consulting in a variety of business areas, including financial management, marketing, business planning, and business structure. Additionally, the SBDC offers consulting and education and specialized services such as international trade, government marketing, environmental management, and business continuity and survival services. Our goal is to provide entrepreneurs with resources and information that will empower them to grow and prosper. This webinar series is designed to prepare you to enter the world of entrepreneurship. At the completion of these 6 webinars, we hope you will be comfortable with the concepts of registering your business and reaching out to lenders or investors, understanding your target market and financial statements, as well as writing your business and marketing plans. Each webinar should take you less than 30 minutes to complete. Just as every business is unique, there is no universal method of assessing the startup and regulatory cost of doing business. In this webinar, we will outline potential regulatory costs of starting and running your business. These include mandatory costs such as taxes, licenses and permits, unemployment taxes, and workers' compensation insurance, as well as the cost of the administrative and professional services associated with all of the above. The startup and recurring regulatory expenses may differ from business to business. Depending on the nature of a business, it may need federal, state, and/or local permits or licenses, and depending on the specific license needed, it may have to be periodically renewed at a cost. Some licenses may require prerequisites such as an educational degree or the passing of an exam, as well as approvals prior to the start of operations. A business operating within a federally regulated industry such as mining, drilling, or radio broadcasting requires a federally issued license. A complete list of federally regulated industries is available online at sba.gov. Federal requirements usually supersede those of the states. However, in addition to federal regulations, states may impose regulatory requirements and dues of their own on industries in their jurisdictions. The Pennsylvania Department of State and its Bureau of Professional and Occupational Affairs provides guidelines on the pertinent licensing and business requirements associated with operating a specific business. Once a license or permit is issued, your business will be listed on the Pennsylvania Department of State Licensing Registry. Some municipalities in Pennsylvania require a permit to conduct business. Other requirements, such as zoning, might also be regulated by a specific locality. Hence, part of the process of starting a small business includes contacting your local town hall, where a town clerk will be able to tell you exactly what types of permits you need and how much they will cost you. Depending on the company structure you choose, you may be required to file the Certificate of Organization or the Articles of Incorporation accompanied by other necessary documents with the Pennsylvania Department of State, Bureau of Corporations and Charitable Organizations. Currently, depending on the company structure, it may cost you between $125 and $250. If sole proprietorship is your choice of business structure, a fictitious name registration with the Bureau will cost $70. Please visit the Pennsylvania Department of State website for more information on documentation and filing guidelines. If you carry on a trade or other business as a sole proprietor or a member or a general partnership, you are considered to be self-employed and must pay your estimated quarterly federal income taxes. Self-employment taxes include Social Security, Medicare, and income taxes. For 2013, the Social Security tax rate is 12.4% and the Medicare tax rate is 2.9% and is obligatory for any self-employed individual that makes $400 or more from non-church self-employment to cover it in its entirety. In other words, you must pay both an employer and an employee shares of these taxes. You must file an annual return with the United States Internal Revenue Service by using either Schedule C or Schedule C Easy. As a sole proprietor with no employees, you are not required to obtain an Employer Identification Number, or EIN, from the Internal Revenue Service. However, it is recommended to use for business purposes instead of your Social Security number. Other taxes may be owed depending on the type of business you are considering. For example, if you are an individual truck owner, an excise tax may be due. Generally, before your business is operational, it is good practice to consult with the Internal Revenue Service as well as your personal accountant to ensure that you are prepared to abide by all regulatory requirements and associated fees. A useful tool for small businesses and self-employed individuals is a tax calendar, which can help you with specific taxes and their due date. As a sole proprietor or a member of a general partnership in Pennsylvania, you pay your income taxes as an individual. In Pennsylvania, it is a flat rate of 3.07%. If the company you start is a C corporation, your corporate net income tax is 9.99% in Pennsylvania. As an owner of a C corporation, remember that on top of your corporate taxes, you must also pay taxes on your income as an individual. The state and local requirements depend entirely on the type of business activities in which you will engage and the type of business you are planning to operate. For example, if you are planning to operate a retail store and purchase the building, to do so, local real estate taxes and state sales taxes are among those to consider. To determine whether the goods or services you are planning to sell are subject to the Pennsylvania sales tax, please review the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue's Retailer's Information Guide. In Pennsylvania, the sales tax rate is 6%, with an additional 1% tax levied in Allegheny County and an additional 2% in Philadelphia County. Certain goods also require a tax permit and additional tax. This information may also be found on Pennsylvania's Department of Revenue website. Also remember that activities such as collecting sales taxes and hiring employees requires a business owner to file a PA 100 form. If you plan to hire employees, remember that both Medicare and Social Security taxes are shared equally by an employer and an employee. For example, if you hire an apprentice, as an employer, you will pay 6.2% of his or her salary equivalent as a Social Security tax and withhold the same amount from his or her pay. The employer is also responsible for withholding a 0.9% additional Medicare tax on individual wages in excess of $200,000. All employers are required to withhold federal and state personal income taxes in Pennsylvania on a periodic basis. As an employer, you may utilize either eTides or Telefile to remit your withholdings and submit W-2 information for your employees. Other taxes and costs associated with having employees are employment taxes, unemployment insurance taxes, and workers' compensation insurance. In Pennsylvania, the rate of unemployment compensation insurance for newly started businesses is 3.5% for non-construction and 9.7% for construction firms. After 2 consecutive years in business, and depending on businesses' turnover patterns, the rate may fluctuate annually between 2.8% and 10.9%. Workers' compensation insurance coverage is a requirement in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Coverage may be obtained through the State Workers Insurance Fund, through an insurance company, normally when you are securing your regular business property and liability insurance. You may also ask for workers' compensation coverage, or through self-insuring. This requires approval from the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry. The Pennsylvania Department of Revenue offers an employer withholding information guide on their website to help with step-by-step instructions. Under the Affordable Care Act, self-employed individuals are required to purchase their own insurance through the individual health marketplace. Depending on the number of employees you currently have, you might be required to provide insurance for your employees to avoid a penalty. Here we will describe the current provisions of the Affordable Care Act law. If you employ 50 or more full-time equivalent employees, you must offer affordable health care coverage. Affordable coverage means that the insurance must pay for at least 60% of covered health care expenses, and employees should not be forced to pay more than 9.5% of their family income for this employer-provided coverage. If those conditions are not met and your employees seek their coverage at the healthcare exchange market, you will have to pay a penalty to the United States Internal Revenue Service. A separate penalty is imposed if an employer with 50 or more full-time equivalent employees does not offer health insurance. To learn about the cost of healthcare plans and their specifics, visit the healthcare.gov website. For more information about the tax implications of this law, please visit the Internal Revenue Service's website. Small businesses that employ fewer than 50 employees are not required to provide coverage for their employees. For more information on the various plans, visit www.healthcare.gov. The administrative costs associated with abiding with regulatory requirements are not to be underestimated. It takes time and perhaps additional expertise to ensure that your business is in good standing with federal, state, and local authorities. The administrative costs may include hiring an additional employee, such as a human resources professional, or retaining the periodic services of an outside bookkeeper during the most busy seasons. Depending on the nature of your business, you may also need to consult an environmental professional about specific state and local requirements. Pennsylvania SBDC's Environmental Management Assistant Program, or EMAP, is a great place to consider for this purpose. Keep in mind that the activity of hiring employees carries with it its own administrative costs. There are costs associated with searching out prospective employees, the hiring process, background checks, onboarding and orientation, and subsequent training. Additionally, depending on job requirements, there might be additional expenses such as travel and other business expense reimbursements. Visit the IRS website noted on the slide for more information. Depending on the type of business you are contemplating to start, other expenses may become necessary. To accurately determine the costs, determine what needs to be done before your first customer walks through the door. Research and assign expenses to all activities associated with opening your business. These expenses may include the security deposit for your business location, any related utilities, business and property insurance for the premises, signage, furniture, equipment, and machinery, as well as the costs associated with their purchase, delivery, and installation. If a building you are planning to utilize needs to be renovated or updated for your specific usage, Ask your prospective contractors for quotations. It is also prudent to include approximately 6 months of working capital. Once you have itemized all prospective expenses associated with starting your business, list them in the sources portion of your sources and uses of funds form. Thank you for viewing our Cost to Consider when starting a business webinar. Please visit our webpage to view other webinars within our First Step series. They include, how should I structure my business? How do I sell my product or service? Where can I find funding to start my business? Understanding financial statements, and how do I write a business plan? If you reside or plan to engage in business activities in Pennsylvania and you would like to meet with one of our consultants, please contact your local SBDC by visiting www.pasbdc.org to find the closest center to you. If you are located outside of Pennsylvania, please visit asbdc-us.org to find your local SBDC.